2025 was an unbelievable year for Deadlock and really a year where the game started to feel like it kind of found its footing. And in a lot of ways, I feel the same about this channel. So today in this video, I want to talk a little bit about 2026, kind of my goals for the channel here, reflect a little bit on 2025, just a little bit. And like I said, talk about my goals for the next year. That way you all know what's coming from the channel, what to expect. And also so you all can hold me accountable to make sure I'm doing the things that I say I want to do for the channel this next year. Hey everyone, this is Connor here at Deadlock, and today I want to be a little bit more candid with this one. This is really, sometimes these videos I really feel like are a little cringe and I'm not a huge fan of, like these channel update type videos, but in this one at least, like I said, I just want to, for the people who have followed along, especially since the channel started, give a little bit of an update, some of my reflections in the last year, and again, just what to expect for 2026. So let's start quickly with reflecting on 2025, like I said, and this has been such a incredible year for the channel. I've just been blown away. I think in the last 90 days or something, we've gotten over 4,000 subscribers on the channel, which is just wild. It's evidence that this community loves watching the development of the game and appreciates the content we make here. So that's really cool and endearing for me to see, especially because I tend to just make content that I myself would want to watch. And so it's really cool that there's a lot of like-minded people out there that also want to consume the same Deadlock content that I would and are really interested in following along with the game's progression and development. And so before we get too far into our plans for next year, genuinely such a huge thank you to everyone. I say this a lot, but everyone who has liked, subscribed, watched a video, however you've interacted with the channel this last year, thank you. This little community we've built is one that I really do value and treasure. And so before we get too far into plans for next year, I just want to again extend my deepest gratitude and thank you to everyone who's been a part of 2025 here at Dead Unlocked. But as good as 2025 was, I personally have my sights set a lot higher for 2026, and there's a lot more I want to do with the channel. So I want to talk quickly through just some of my goals and visions for where the channel will go from here. Again, we've released, I think we're at a little over 100 videos right now. I posted a post about this recently. So this is also kind of a projection of what I hope the next 100 videos will look like. So the first and maybe the most kind of to me important goal I have for 2026 really has to do with the scope of the channel and the content that we're going to be making. And that is that I don't want this channel to ever become one thing. I always want this channel to be something that if you're a fan of any aspect of Deadlock, you can come and tune in. Whether you like the esport, whether you want to hear about the meta, certain items, or just news, updates, and leaks about what's happening in the test server. And I want to address a little bit, like, we've closed out the year with 2025 with a lot of news, update, and leak videos. And I want to talk about a little bit why that is. So to me, Deadlock is this incredibly unique experience, right? Where we are watching before our eyes this game unfold and become developed. And, if you compare Deadlock, at any one point you take a snapshot of it and then you go 3 months before or 3 months after, it feels like right now the game's going to look like a totally unique thing. And so we've been spending a lot of time on the channel talking about the game's development and things happening in the test server, because I think right now this is to me the most interesting part of the game right now is its development. Again, it's not that I'm not interested in making tier lists or talking about the game's esport or anything like that. It's just that right now this feels like such a unique experience covering a game like Deadlock, where we get to see it unfold before our eyes, that I want to spend a lot of time doing that on the channel, and it probably will, especially as the game is in this period of its development, like this kind of alpha, really pure development state, that I want to spend a lot of time covering things like this. So again, when we cover leaks as well, it's not that we're trying to like spoil the party or ruin patches or whatever. It's none of that. It's really that same idea, right? Like, I love this game's development, and it's so cool, almost like from a historian perspective. When we look back, it's going to be amazing to look back at all the changes that were coming to Deadlock in 2024 through 2026 or whenever, right? And for me, covering the test server is almost like a way to do that on a smaller scale. So I can give the community updates about the little changes and the things we think are coming. Then when we get a patch, it's like, okay, now we have this massive piece of development that we can all be stoked about, all play on, right? And so I'm a storyteller at heart. I've been a journalist for a long time, covering esports and gaming, well before coming over here for Deadlock. And so this will always, I think, be a part of the channel's kind of core. But in that same breath, like I just said, I never want it to be everything this channel is. Just right now, because of the game's development cycle, we are probably going to spend more time on news, updates, and just kind of telling the story of Deadlock's development. Then when we get a more solidified product, we probably will get into a bit more of, just like current game state stuff, strategy guides. I have a big heart towards like beginner guides for this channel, especially given the game's current state and how there's going to be a massive influx of new players soon. So just know that was a jumbled. I do want this video to be a little bit more candid, but expect a wider scope in 2026 and expect us to not ever become just one thing. I never want this to just be the Deadlock news channel, for example. I want this to be a place where a lot of people can come and get any kind of Deadlock content they might want. Another goal I have for this year kind of dovetails off that first point a little bit, but I also want to increase the kind of the avenues that I'm providing, the content that I'm providing. I've got a lot of ambition this year. I'm kind of like jokingly calling it like my Marty Supreme year. Not a one-to-one comparison at all between me and Marty, but great movie, great job, Timothy, by the way. But I want to be very open about my ambition with covering Deadlock this year, and I want to be able to cover that in a multitude of different ways. So we've got written articles over at thegamehaus.com that I write right now. I'm really starting to work a little bit more on activating my X account a little bit and posting more over there. And obviously I want to increase consistency and output on the channel here. So I've mentioned this previously, but last year it felt like we got into a lot of consistency pitfalls here on the channel, where some weeks it would be like a video a day, and then I went like, I think 3 weeks in December with just nothing because I was on vacation. So I want to shore that up a little bit in 2026, maybe even do things like making videos ahead of time to kind of prevent these like content droughts. And also just frankly, I think the game is going to have a little bit more to cover this year than we did in 2025. So all in all, again, semi-dovetailing off what I just said about the wider content scope, I also want to do this on multiple different platforms and just do more of this in 2026. Like I said, I have a lot of ambition with Deadlock as a game and how I'm hoping this channel can fit into it, how I can fit into it personally. And so I just want to be able to kind of unabashedly pursue that in 2026. So expect just more, honestly, just more ways of me covering Deadlock. Hopefully I don't get too annoying, but I really do love this game and think it has just so much promise. So I want to go all in as much as I can, at least, in 2026. Another goal for this year is Atlas looks on from below very longingly. I think she wants to go on a walk or something. Oh, the ears perked up when I said that word. Wow. Another thing I want to improve this year is even just the quality of the videos. So I talked about this a little bit recently. I try to incorporate visuals as much as possible and make my videos a good mix of engaging. I also try to be really concise and informative with a lot of, especially my news videos. But even when I look at things like the setup here, I could probably have a slightly nicer camera. I could probably have a slightly nicer microphone. I am moving later this year, and so around the summertime, expect a obviously completely different backdrop because I'm going to be moving, but I also want to get some better equipment to just kind of increase the quality of the channel here. Again, I never want like a video to sound bad or look bad, and that would really bother me if these really did. And so I want to just, again, make sure the quality of the videos is as tight and as good as it can be in 2026. Also, I want to do a little better job of kind of showing my personality a little bit on the channel, maybe having a little bit more fun with things. When I report on news, a lot of times I want the video to be so concise because I know people are coming to that channel kind of to get that information and leave. It's not like they're tuning in to sit and listen to me ramble for 20 minutes. Like, I don't want to do that all the time, but I do want to kind of, you know, be a little bit more comfortable myself with showing a little bit more of my personality. Maybe that turns into like more gameplay videos. Maybe I start streaming a little bit. Who knows? But I have a tendency to kind of, I don't know, shield a little bit of my personality whenever I'm making these videos because I want them to be a certain way. And so, you know, look for pockets of personality this year is maybe a way to say that. I don't want it to become a thing where all my videos are just rambles, but I do want to give myself, I guess, permission to give a little bit more of my analysis on things a little bit more often, especially as the game continues to develop, and especially when we get into content like meta things and whatnot. So, yeah, just a little bit of a personal thing there. All in all, though, and I do genuinely mean this, I would be very curious to hear feedback from people who have watched my videos for a long time. Maybe you've been a subscriber since July 2025, or maybe you've been a subscriber for a month. I value everyone's feedback, really. I genuinely do appreciate feedback here. I'm a big believer in constructive criticism, and I want to make videos that you all and that people who watch this channel enjoy. Yes, of course, I want to make videos that I would want to watch because that's like, it's the easiest way to kind of source the inspiration, but I also am someone who is very open to feedback. So if you have formatting suggestions, ways to improve the channel, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I've been a writer for years, written over 1,000 articles, and I've had a lot of horrible things said about me on the internet, so I have pretty thick skin. You're not going to bother me by telling me this video sucked or you could do this better. So please I'm open to criticism, but also open to things positively that you've liked about the channel. I do always try to have an air of like optimism and positivity here on the channel, partially because I'm just genuinely covering a game that I love with Deadlock, and also because I just believe that we need a little bit more, a little stronger of an internet presence with positivity around it. It's been very clearly proven that negativity farms engagement at a much higher rate, and I never want to succumb to that here on the channel ever. Now, if Valve is doing some crazy stuff with Deadlock that I don't approve of, I'm gonna be open about it. Like, I believe in honesty as well. But by and large, this channel, I want to be a positive place, kind of an oasis from the internet, maybe you could call it that. But that is important to me. So this video is very candid in general, but let me know your feedback, positive or negative, and just know that I am going to really, really try to make this channel the best thing it can be for you all, best thing it can be for myself, and I always want to do this with a positive spin if I can. And I want to close this one out with why Deadlock is so special to me and why I think I get really in my feels when I think about this game and where it could be going. And that's because this is not my first time to cover a game in a really kind of tight-knit perspective. So in 2018, I got into Overwatch coverage. It turned into a job actually writing for the Game Haus, who I'm currently writing with. And I covered that game really closely. It was my first exposure to esports. I was pretty green at the time. I was in grad school when that game came out. And so I had very little work experience, very little esports experience. And I ended up getting to a point where I was covering the Overwatch League as a true beat writer, was going to events, was even talked to by ESPN at one point about maybe joining their team before ESPN got rid of their esports division. Tyler Erzberger, if you're out there, shout out you. I remember those conversations. But Deadlock, for me, again, this game's development is not about me, but it feels like a chance for me to be able to be a part of something with real promise again. Like, I had such a buzz and a hype when Overwatch was developing and when its esport was blossoming. Like, I really thought that's where my career was going to be forever. And then obviously COVID happens, everything with Activision Blizzard happens, and the Overwatch League folds. And it feels like Deadlock is this, like, just better version in every way of what Overwatch was at the time. This is no shade against Overwatch. I love that game. I still play it. But I think Deadlock has unbelievable promise in 2026 and beyond. I think the developer is proven. I think the esports landscape will be stellar. It's a beautiful game. The artistic direction is really great. Like, it checks every box. And I'm also now coming to this game in my 30s with a lot of esports experience. I've published over 1,000 articles in my career. And I feel really confident covering this game, number one, and number two, just in the game itself. So it just feels like this year is a little bit like I talked about my Marty Supreme year. I feel I'm very ambitious this year related to Deadlock's development and how I hope to be involved in it. And so I just wanted to give you all a little bit of a look behind the curtain as to why that is. I'm a little bit jaded and a little bit cynical about esports and about gaming in general, but Deadlock has really pulled me out of that in a lot of ways, and I am just so earnestly and genuinely excited about this game. I hope it comes across in my videos, and I hope you all know that this is true to be the case, but I just want to say it again. So this for me is more than just, oh, this is a cool game developing, I'm going to make YouTube videos about it. This for me is almost a chance to like right a wrong that was done early in my career with what happened with Overwatch. And so I am like so fired up to make this all happen in Deadlock and just to see what happens with this game. If eventually, and this is not to put like crazy pressure on Valve, right? If eventually the game doesn't pan out or whatever, I'll be just fine. I'll move on. But this just doesn't feel like that's going to be the case. It feels like this game is going to be absolutely massive when it reaches its apex and kind of finalizes its potential in whatever ways that looks like. Whether that's in a year or 5 years, doesn't really matter to me. So just wanted to give you all some background about my career. There's a lot more crazy stories I could get into about Overwatch, and I was involved in the org side of Valorant for a while, but again, this video is a little bit more candid, a little bit more rambly, so I wanted to give you all some background and why I am genuinely so excited about Deadlock. So again, to close, I want this year to be a really big year for the channel. I want to make a lot more videos. I want to make them about more different kinds of things. I want to continue to tell the story of Deadlock's development because it's such a beautiful and incredible story so far. Valve, if you ever watch my videos, thank you all so much for the incredible work on this game. What you are making is seriously a masterpiece, and I am so excited to continue following it here at Dead Unlocked. To the community, everyone who tuned in 2025, this is where our channel began, so thank you all so much, whether you've just watched one video or whether you've watched every video. Top commenter, if you're one of our members, thank you so much. Anything that anyone does for the channel is genuinely so appreciated. I still try to read almost every comment, although there's a lot more comments than there used to be, but I'm always going to make that commitment to stay engaged with you all and continue to foster this community. So a lot of gratitude, a lot of ambition, and a lot of excitement going into 2026 for me. And as always, let me know in the comments what you all think and what you all want me to do in 2026. I would genuinely love to hear that feedback, so please let me know. But from our house to yours, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you all next time here at Dead Unlocked.